Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julia Janae. Thank you for following along with us this afternoon. We begin this hour in New York City, where the jury has been deliberating the fate of Sean Diddy Combs almost an hour, 2 hours rather, and a half at this point. The disgraced music mogul, he stands accused of using his fame and fortune to run a criminal enterprise involving coercion, violence, sex trafficking, and more. But the defense says the evidence only shows that Combs lived a swinger's lifestyle, that he created a, quote, wonderful, sophisticated, and real businesses that have stood the test of time. So what will a jury think? This verdict form that they have comes with some complexity. So let's break down exactly what they are deliberating over. First, the government's umbrella case, count one, is racketeering conspiracy, and under it, these jurors have to decide if any of the predicate acts have been proven by the state, and they only have to prove that at least one of them happened at least 2 times. So we have kidnapping, arson, bribery, witness tampering, forced labor, sex trafficking, transportation to engage in prostitution, and possession or distribution of narcotics, drug charges. So all of that falls under just count one. If they find that at least one of these happened at least 2 times, then they can find him guilty of count 1. So let's move to the next page, which is counts 2 through 5. 5 charges in total against Sean Diddy Combs. And what we have is between these 2 different types of charges, we have transportation for prostitution in relation to the 2 alleged victims. We have Jane and Cassie. Jane, of course, was a pseudonym that was set up for this witness to be someone who is not identified by the public, but Cassie Ventura, of course, that second one. So we have transportation and sex trafficking, both charges for both of those victims underneath. And we want to update you on this breaking news that is happening inside of the federal courthouse. Let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Kelly Krapf. Kelly, you have the latest on this jury note. It sounds like there may be already some infighting inside of that deliberation room.
Well, hi there, Julia. Such an interesting development in the federal courthouse behind me. So it was just around 1 o'clock. There started to be some movement, and we began to hear that there was a juror note. So, of course, when that happens, everyone hurries back inside the courthouse to hear what the note is going to be, what it's going to say. So everyone began to gather. It took about a half hour, a little bit longer for everyone to make their way back into the courtroom, the attorneys, all the parties involved. And then we heard what the note said. The judge read it aloud. We have a full screen made for you so everyone gets a chance to see exactly what the jury note said. It says, we have a juror, juror number 25, who we are concerned cannot follow your honor's instructions. The foreperson then asked to speak with the judge or that particular juror be interviewed. So what do we know about juror number 25? We know he's male. We know he is a scientist. We know that during the jury selection process that he had told both sides that he had seen that hotel video in which Sean Diddy Combs is seen assaulting Cassie Ventura. This is inside the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles. He had said that he did see that video, and he also said, Julia, that he had formed an opinion about that particular video. But then he was very clear that he was able to set his opinion aside to be able to go forward and have a fair, impartial look at this entire case. But now we're having a situation where this same juror now, according to the note that was just sent out, is not following those instructions. And so what did the judge end up saying? How did he handle this situation? He sent them back and said, you are supposed to follow the jury instructions, go back and continue deliberating. So that is where we stand right now, Julia, with that big development here in court. How that's going to proceed, we'll have to wait and see, because if you have a juror that's unwilling to follow instructions this soon in, of course, that's a big disruption when you have to go through such a long, the jury instructions are huge in this case. And if you have a juror who's unwilling to go through those and participate and really give a thoughtful, deliberate process, in regard to deciding a man's fate, that's going to be an issue. We'll have to see if there's any more developments in regard to that. I know we also have a jury full screen. We can just kind of tell you in general more about the jury. So, of course, this is a 12-member juror, as usual, and they have to come up with a unanimous agreement in order to find Sean Diddy Combs guilty of these charges. So we see that here. This is 12 jurors, and we also can kind of go through and tell you a little bit about what that makeup is when we have the jury here. So we have 8 men on the jury. So there are 8 men on the jury. There are 4 women on the jury. Of course, this particular juror we're talking about is a man. This is juror number 25 that we were talking about earlier. We also have a further makeup that we can share with our viewers, in which we can tell you a little bit more about the racial makeup of the jury pool as well. 4 women of color. So there are 4 women of color on the jury. Also 2 men of color on the jury, and 6 white men, excuse me. So that gives you a little idea of who is deciding this case. The alternates were released this morning. But Julia, just such a major development so quickly in. Obviously, as you know from covering all these trials all over the country, as you have for years, when you hear a jury note, it gets pretty exciting, and everyone wants to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, and a note like this, Kelly, this is huge. I mean, you mentioned the alternates got sent away. We may have to call them back in order to replace one of these jurors if it comes to that. I know you're going to keep us updated. Thank you so much for that report from outside of the federal courthouse, Kelly Krapf.